Welcome to SKOOLnet Live. I'm your host, Brian Marks. Today we'd like to welcome back to the show Phil Young. Phil is the principal for Compass Coaching, as well as an employment facilitator with Sarah Jobs for Progress National. Phil, glad to have you back.
Great, it's glad to be here. We've got a lot of stuff happening. It's great to be here.
Excellent. So Phil is an expert when it comes to working with individuals with disabilities, in particular what used to be known and is commonly known as vocational rehab or voc rehab,
Yes.
and also sometimes today is known as assistive rehabilitation. Phil, tell us a little bit about your background in that area.
Well, my background really stems from when I first got out of college many years ago. I started working for a small nonprofit organization in New Hampshire, in central New Hampshire, run by a gentleman by the name of Dick Guerin and Don Bergeron, and it was called Independent Labor Systems. As part of that program, I was responsible for working in the case management of people with severe disabilities. It was all vocationally focused, and we were able to actually take our clients that we were working with and develop partnerships with the Department of Mental Retardation, Department of Mental Health, voc rehab, private workers' compensation as well, and employers to actually develop programs that would bring jobs into the area. We had contracts with what is now the workforce centers. It was Department of Labor. And we developed training I developed training programs through them for students and on-the-job training, as well as job placement services. So, I mean, in that little area, it was very, very effective. We were able to use what's called the Javits-O'Day-Wagner Act, which is a set-aside for 10% of government contracts for people with disabilities. And we're able to use that to sell to employers and to bring work into the area. We actually had clients working on rocket cables for the government through a company called Sprague Electric. They were actually subcontracting the work to us to be able to fulfill their obligation.
Wow.
How does that apply to today? Well, really, what I'm finding right now is that my job really entails building those community partnerships with DARS, Department of Assistive and Rehabilitative Services, with the workforce centers, with the employers based in the area, as well as with other nonprofits. Dallas Housing Authority. I have 2 sites there now. Dallas Housing Authority, as well as I just developed a site, McKinney Housing Authority. I have in the process working with Fort Worth Housing Authority to really bring the training programs right into the One Job at a Time training program into those facilities, and going out there and training myself or them providing trainers. It gives us the ability to reach a lot of people. Rather than just me being one trainer in one site. It's hard to do so when you get that community involvement together. That's when it becomes very effective.
Great. So tell us a little bit more about the One Job at a Time program. What are the goals, and tell us a little bit about the program model.
Okay, the program model pretty much is set up to train individuals that have some barrier to employment, and that's fairly wide range. And it's to train them in entry-level job skills that really employers are looking for. And how we know that is that the curriculum that we're using is based on industry standards. Once you get people in there, what I'm finding is that the people that I'm working with right now, they had some barriers. What I found out is that some of them had more barriers than they presented with. And at this point in time, we're almost ready to finish up all of the testing, and 2/3 of the people that I'm working with are already in jobs. We had a job fair, we had UPS, FedEx, uh, Green Mountain Energy, Tom Thumb stores. All these people came in, and they were interviewing the participants, and they were very impressed. The participants were actually a cut above the rest of the people that were in there because they knew the lingo.
Mm-hmm.
And once you know the business lingo, then you're probably more apt to impress an interviewer.
Sure, sure. So, in any public service or any organization, you can have really a silo effect, as you
Yes.
know, and you can have a situation where one agency doesn't necessarily communicate as effectively as they could with another agency, or even interdepartment communication could be improved. It sounds like you've really found a way to kind of meld the employer interests and what their understanding is, and their ability to see the skills that individuals that may have some barriers to employment, that they can still bring something to the table, and the workforce industry, their interests, the services they provide, and most importantly, in terms of this discussion, individuals with disabilities. What are some of the best practices you've seen to kind of blend those worlds to offer cohesive services?
I think having a pivot point person like myself that's actually, implementing some of this to get the conversation started. I mean, we went out to the Walmart training facility here in Irving, and when I walked into the place, I realized that a lot of what we were training for here through SARE was actually preparing those people, and they weren't even aware of the program, even though Walmart Foundation's funding it. So it was an eye-opener to them as well. They were able to say, wow, you're training these people, we're paying for the training, let's find a mechanism to get them in the door.
Great.
So that's really been a benefit with that piece of the community. Now, I've also been able to say to DARS, here's the contact. I mean, they asked me specifically for the contact, and I said, sure, I can share that with you because you're sharing things with me. The same thing with the housing authorities. They more or less have a mandate to do vocational work with training, and with their housing participants, a lot of whom are actually either DARS clients or workforce center clients. So it's getting that whole system talking about what's going on, and if you've got one pivot person that can do it, then it's going to disseminate out. I had a meeting at DARS the other day. They were like, we really need this sort of training program for our clients, and we talked about developing a closed loop system where one of the participants I have right now, I've actually called and prepared them to have her come in for an intake, to just help with what is your intake process, because she needs services. And again, it's you see behind the presenting issue that comes to you.
Absolutely.
And being able to say, okay, let's keep this going.
Sure, sure. And in terms of the the case manager or the counselor that's working with an individual with this disability, that's really from kind of the state agency side of things. So here in Texas, DARS, as you mentioned, is the state agency to serve individuals with disability. How can this model that you're using, this approach with the open communication, really help that counselor/case manager to better serve the individual?
One of the things that I talked to them about yesterday in this presentation, which I picked up on from the first presentation I did with Deb Jones, who's the regional person that I'm working with, is that I'm actually providing them a service without them paying for it. And that service is really being able to do an informal vocational assessment on the people that come through the door. Of course, they're overwhelmed with the number of people on their caseloads, and you have somebody that's working with a client that in a different program that is actually observing what's going on with the person. I can provide an informal evaluation on their clients.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually developing a better understanding for them of where to go with their clients.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to being able to do that more. One person that I'm working with right now, I said I will write you a short report of what I've seen, the work-related behavior that I've observed, commitment to following through the process, their reasoning ability, their math skills, their reading skills, their career interests, and that's going to be beneficial to them. The other way that this whole thing has been beneficial for people with disabilities is that working with the housing authority, they have this vocational component that I just spoke of, but they don't have a curriculum to implement it with.
Mm-hmm.
So the housing authorities all have vocational people. What I'm able to do is tie that all together with this Walmart training program, say, I can give this to you if you can provide us with someone to do the training, because there's too many sites. And that gives them a process to work with the people that have barriers to employment. And I'm talking about, I've been working with the AIDS community in Dallas because there's a lot of people there that are able to work,
mm-hmm.
but they need that impetus to move forward.
Sure.
But they're also housing authority clients. I just spoke with one of my contacts, and she's actually putting me in contact with the people that oversee that whole process for the Dallas County. That's going to be beneficial.
Sure.
To getting to those people with disabilities. People with learning disabilities, there's a lot of undocumented learning disabilities out there.
Mm-hmm.
And, part of my job is to help the VR counselor or the DARS counselor understand what's really going on with them.
Mm-hmm. That's great. It's an interesting model. It really is. You're talking about not only providing concrete skills training, mm-hmm. Marketable skills that employers mm-hmm. are looking for, but also improving the counseling process, improving the coaching process, mm-hmm. improving the likelihood that the individual is going to have the support around them, the employer is mm-hmm. going to have the understanding, they're going to have the confidence, and the case manager is going to know how to guide them. So,
absolutely.
Thanks so much for coming on. It really is, enlightening and refreshing to hear about a program that's has such a comprehensive mm-hmm. approach. How can folks get in touch with you if they want to get mm-hmm. involved from a partnership standpoint, mm-hmm. or if it's an individual who would actually like to apply for the program?
Okay, they can actually contact me at pyyoung@ser-national.org, which is my email address, or they can call me at 469-549-3619. Shoot me an email or just a message. Potential participants can go to www.ser-national.org/Walmart and fill out a pre-application, and you will be hearing from me.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Phil. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Okay.
You're welcome back anytime. Until next time, school's the rule.
Have a good day.